I swam underwater for 2 whole days and nights. Right when I was about to pass out, I finally broke through the surface. I gasped for air like my life depended on it. But when I turned around, I saw them, James and Bob. They were clinging to a float, pale and barely conscious. I looked around. There were pieces of the plane wreckage, and somehow 2 kayaks. I dragged them over and pulled the guys aboard. But I didn't feel any relief. We were surrounded by nothing but ocean, not a single sign of land. And this was still a war zone. Our chances of being rescued were nearly zero. James and Bob started to break down. They were sure we were going to die. I checked the survival pack. 2 chocolate bars, 3 bottles of water. Could have been worse. If we rationed it right, we could last maybe 2 weeks. So we started drifting through the Pacific, with no direction and no plan. At night, we curled up in the cold, damp kayak to sleep, but soon, a strange bumping sound woke us up. Sharks. Not just one, several. They circled us over and over. None of us slept that night. Thankfully, they left by morning. At sunrise, I saw a rescue plane flying overhead. Without thinking, I fired a flare. James dumped green dye into the sea, trying to make us stand out in the blue water, but the plane was flying too high. From up there, we were just specks in the ocean. I fired another flare. Still nothing. The plane flew farther and farther, leaving us staring at the sky in silence. Then it got worse. The chocolate was gone. Only a few empty wrappers were left. I shouted at James. He kept his head down, said he couldn't take the hunger anymore. I was furious, but there was nothing else to do. By day 4, we were all losing it. James hugged his knees, crying, saying he regretted everything. Around noon, an albatross landed on our kayak. I held my breath and reached out slowly, then grabbed its leg hard. We all pounced on it at once. It was finally a meal. The meat tasted awful, but we hadn't eaten in days. Bob had an idea. He used some of the bird as bait. We waited 4 hours, then finally caught a huge fish. James didn't say a word. Guilt was written all over his face. Bob and I didn't say anything either. We just handed him a piece of fish. At that point, it didn't matter anymore. That fish saved us. Its protein kept us going for another 18 days. The sun burned our skin until it peeled. The pain was unbearable. We tried to hide in the shade as best we could. We kept looking at the family photos in our pockets, holding on to those smiles to keep us alive. Then one night, the sea suddenly went silent. Moments later, the storm hit. Waves slammed into us like beasts. We held onto the kayaks for dear life, thinking only one thing: don't die. Maybe God really hurt us. When it was over, we were still alive. Even better, it started raining. We opened our mouths and drank, caught every drop we could. Water was no longer a problem, but we hadn't caught a fish in days, so we came up with a new plan: go after the sharks. I waited for the right moment, then grabbed one by the tail. With all our strength, we pulled it onto the kayak. I didn't hesitate. I stabbed it until it stopped moving. The meat was tough and foul, but it kept us alive. Day 27 came. We were still drifting. Just when I was about to give up, I heard the sound of an engine. I looked up. A plane, flying low. I fired a flare. This time, I thought we'd really be saved, but the plane kept flying. We dropped our heads in defeat. Then, suddenly, it turned around. It was a Japanese fighter. Bullets rained down like a storm. We jumped into the water. No time to think. After it left, we climbed back into what was left of the kayak. We were exhausted, but just as we caught our breath, the plane came back. I screamed for them to jump again, but when I looked back, only I had made it into the water. I watched helplessly as the kayak was torn apart. I swam hard toward the wreckage. By some miracle, James and Bob were still alive, and finally, the plane was gone. I rushed to find glue and tried to patch what I could, but the sea wasn't done with us. The sharks were back.